All right. Here we go. I see the numbers beginning to rise. Welcome everyone to the business of being an artist. We're just going to wait a minute or two to let people log on and get settled in before we begin, but welcome. You may have been here last week or you might be new this week, so welcome. This is the second installment of Business of Being an Artist that's focused on business and financial wellness for artists. Hello, and welcome. I see the numbers are beginning to slow down a bit, so I will go ahead and share my screen with you all. And go ahead and get started. So for an official hello and welcome to everyone, both returning artists and newcomers to the business of being an artist, the New Jersey State Arts Council's virtual professional development series designed to cover an array of business-related topics for artists living and working in New Jersey. This installment of the series is dedicated to business and financial wellness. Today, you're in part 2 of this installment called Financial Literacy and Best Practices. This workshop is designed to provide artists with the financial knowledge and skills to manage their businesses effectively. So the learning objectives for today, with the help of our guest facilitator, we will today learn how to track your business expenses and income, get a tutorial on using accounting software to help you manage your finances, discuss and consider how to price your work appropriately, and get an understanding of the basics of doing your taxes for your art-centered business. You might remember me from last week's session. My name is Stephanie Nurbach. I am the Artist Services Manager at the New Jersey State Council on the Arts. And I am once again joined by my colleague, Samantha Clark, who is with us, but magically behind the scenes. She is the program officer for arts education and lifelong learning. Today, together, we have recently been in cahoots, brainstorming, organizing, and implementing free professional development for artists and teaching artists. And our goal is to identify needs of individual artists in our state and offer services, including professional development, to help fulfill those needs and ultimately better support New Jersey-based artists. And more professional development will be coming soon. The Business of Being an Artist is an ongoing series, and there will be more coming down the road. In April, we will be offering another installment focused on marketing and branding strategies for artists. New guest presenters will be joining us for that workshop, so please keep it on your radar. Registration for that will open on March 11th. And today's logistics, it is scheduled to be a 2-hour workshop with a lot of information to cover, but we'll be hearing from only one guest presenter today. There is a scheduled collective 5-minute break right around 3 p.m. or so. And please know that recordings of this week's and last week's session will be made available to you. So if you need to step away or leave the session early, you'll be able to do so and still access the information shared here. Please use the Q&A for all questions that you have. The chat should be used for general communication and links to resources. And we will take time near the end of the session to address questions live, and we'll make note of any remaining questions there might be and address those in a follow-up email. So today's presenter, she joins us from last week's workshop, Business Essentials and Knowing Your Resources. You might remember Dr. Jacqueline Miejas Fuertes, and she serves as the Regional Director for the New Jersey Small Business Development Center at Brookdale Community College. She brought that center into the spotlight through her forward-thinking and cutting-edge approach to entrepreneurship. Under her leadership, the center has assisted in the growth of multiple businesses. It has won numerous awards ranging from economic development for its impact in Monmouth and Ocean counties to winning national pitch competitions. She is a well-known leader, seasoned business advisor, change maker, strategist, speaker, and entrepreneur. And aren't we lucky to have her here today? We are certainly grateful for her willingness to partner with us and for her contribution to this series. So, welcome. I'll stop sharing my screen. And before we hand it off to Miss Jackie, we're going to hear from another member of the team at the New Jersey Department of State. Joe Fort is New Jersey Department of State Deputy Chief of Staff and the Chief Diversity Officer in the Office of the Secretary. And he was here and he would like to say a few words to the group before we get started. So welcome, Joe. I'd like to offer you the floor and so glad you're here.
Thanks, Melissa. And thanks, Samantha, the entire Art Council, and Jackie, our special guest. I just wanted to say on behalf of Lieutenant Governor Way, we thank you all so much for hopping on. We know that the arts is a great economic driver and we support small businesses. So we hope that you find that this is helpful, and we have an open door policy. If there's anything that we can ever do, please feel free to reach out. So with that said, thanks again for having me, and great to see everyone. And I hope that you enjoy this presentation. Thanks, Melissa.
All right, awesome. There she is. Hello, Dr. Jackie. Welcome back.
That you forgot to unmute yourself. That's like the favorite thing to say.
It's the best thing to
I know. It's like, oh, you're still muted. And I could be talking away and going, oh, I'm still muted. But thank you.
Yes, I'll give you the floor now, Miss Jackie. Thank you so much
for having me again. So thank you for that. And I will get ready to share with you guys the presentation. Give me a moment here, so I can connect with each and every one of you. So, 1 second, there we go. I stated before, when I'm doing presentations, I prefer not to look at myself. And if I can't see the whole audience, then I kind of like to hide myself. But again, my name is Dr. Jacqueline Mejias Fortes, and I am the Regional Director of the Small Business Development Center at Brookdale Community College. And for those of you who are new to the call and you weren't here last week, I just want to share a little bit of who the SBDC is and how we're here to assist you. So the Small Business Development Center is part of a national organization, which means you can find us in all 50 states, as well as U.S. territories, which include Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Virgin Islands. Our focus is really to assist entrepreneurs, and it could be through ideation, getting their business idea off the ground, as well as small business owners. Our goal is to help you grow, become sustainable, because as Joe had mentioned before, you are part of the whole economic growth here in the state of New Jersey. Small businesses are the backbone of our economy in general in the United States. And it's important that you receive the resources that you need to really get your business flowing, and most importantly, to make it sustainable. So that being said, here in the state of New Jersey, we actually have 11 centers, which are strategically located throughout the state of New Jersey, covering all 21 counties. And I say that to just let you know that if there's an SBDC center in your backyard, make sure you visit them. You can find which center is located closest to you by visiting the njsbdc.com website, which is headquarters website, which is located at Rutgers University in Newark under the business school. And our focus and the way we bring services is through our no-cost confidential counseling, which means that anytime you sit with us, there's never a charge. And everything that you tell us is actually confidential. We don't share any data with any entity, no matter who they are. And we are funded in part by the SBA, but we are not the SBA. We are one of their technical supports. And basically, we're here to assist small businesses. So we do that through our no-cost confidential counseling, as well as through workshops. We partner with organizations such as this one today, on the New Jersey State's Arts Council. We partner with them, or Arts Council is in their title, but we partner with them and other organizations to make sure that we bring the information that small businesses need to the table in order for them to become educated, because we understand the importance of education and small business ownership in order for them to prosper, create that foundation they need, and grow. So along with that, like I said, so there's 11 centers. Make sure, once again, that if you're looking for a center in your region, in your area, just visit the njsbdc.com website. So today, for those of you, again, welcome back. For those of you that were here last week, but if you're new, I'm here to help you to really understand, for you to get that financial knowledge really that you need to obtain the tools that are going to help you navigate your creative journey. You know, our goal, you're artists. Artists are also businesses. But one of the things that I also teach, I'm a professor. And when I teach, one of the things that I tell my students, especially my entrepreneurial students, is that finance will always dictate what you can and cannot do. What's going on in your business financially is either going to allow you to live a certain lifestyle, it's going to allow you to do certain things, or it is not. You know, having these dreams of, you know, I'm going to make all this money and not being realistic about it is not a good thing. So for us, by helping you to understand this whole journey, our goal is to help you create that confidence that you need. And also so you can see that there's security behind it and actually, you know, understanding the whole financial aspect of it. So financial literacy, what does it do for you? It actually helps empower your creative journey. You know, with this, we're looking to empower you. So this way you can break free from your financial anxieties that you may have, you know, and help you focus on what you love to do best, which is your art, right? It really helps to equip you in a way that it will help you manage the fluctuations, the ups and downs that are going to occur financially within your career. It's also going to help you determine what best decisions should you be making, what you should be spending, and what you should be saving. You know, one of the things as small business owners, I always like to encourage all our business owners, you really want to make sure you're set in terms of what you're doing financially, but you want to look for that financial security down the road. You know, we're all going to age at one point, and it would be great for you to have some stability as you're going into retirement, which will happen to all of us soon enough. So for us, it's really important for you to understand the financial concepts, also to help you, you know, as I said before, really to help you make those informed decisions, you know, and helping you to secure your financial future. So one of the things that Stephanie had said, which we're not going to cover because I realized that it would take way too much time. So I took it out, but I do want you to know, and it has to do with QuickBooks and accounting. So one of the things that the SBDC does offer is QuickBooks, and most of the centers offer a class at no cost. Some may have a cost associated with it, but most may not. So I urge you to visit again the njsbdc.com website, go onto their calendar and see what the other SBDC centers are offering and see if you could pick up a course on it, because a very rudimental course in not in accounting, but in QuickBooks is really going to help you set yourself up the way you need to. And because that takes a lot of pieces, it would be hard for me just to guide you in a webinar. It's better for it to happen in person. So with that being said, why does financial literacy matter? Right? So most importantly, it is about empowering you. It is about helping you make those decisions regarding your art. And we're going to talk about price and how do you go about pricing yourself. You know, it really helps you understand your income and your expenses. You know, so your profit and your losses. This way you can make those goals, set the realistic goals of what is it that you can actually achieve. You know, pie in the sky doesn't work when you're trying to put a roof over your head. You know, being a starving artist, to me, it's not my cup of tea, and it should not be yours either. You know, it really helps you in terms of developing strong financial management, because this is going to help contribute to the sustainability of your artistic career. So this is why financial literacy is utterly important for you to get a hold of it and understand how is it that it's going to help you move forward. So we are going to help you understand this a little bit more. So first, as an artist, your income. When you're looking at your income, it's important to you for you to understand that it's going to come from various sources. It's not just going to come, from sales commission of selling your art. There could be grants that are coming, teaching opportunities are other ones as well. And there may be even side hustles that you may be doing. Think of your art. I know that I've been to those sip and what is it, art? You sipping a little bit of wine while you're doing art, doing this on a cruise. I've done it on a cruise, not just in a brick and mortar retail space. And this could be an opportunity for you to generate some income. So really understanding and not just understanding, but identifying and tracking all your income streams is going to allow you to understand your overall financial picture. So now you're going to take a look at it and you're going to say, wow, how much did I make from where? This is going to help you really to determine where most of your focus should be. Is it in just selling your art or having it placed in an art gallery? Again, having work commissioned that people come to you and ask you to do artwork for them and you actually get paid for it? Or is it because you want to teach and there's grant opportunities for you to teach your craft? So again, where is your art coming from? Not your art, but your income coming from? And know there's never just one revenue stream. As a business, multiple revenue streams are critical. They're really going to be the ones that are going to help sustain your business. Sometimes it may not be the one thing you truly want to do all the time, but while that's being developed, there's other ways for you to develop, revenue streams. So bearing that in mind. And then understanding the tax implication for each income stream. Because here, especially in the state of New Jersey, there may be sales tax attached to some of the work that you're doing, and there may not be. So it's critical for you to definitely understand and say, am I being informed as to what I have to charge sales tax on and what I don't have to charge sales tax on? What are the tax regulations that I truly need to file or understand when I'm doing my filing? So, as a small business owner, one of the things that I do want to share when it comes to taxes, there's a lot of things that are deductible, but are you tracking your expenses to make sure you could deduct them when you're filing your taxes? So this is important. It is really critical for you to be meticulous when it comes to your record keeping, especially of your income and your expenses, because this is not only going to help simplify your tax filing, but it's also going to help improve the value, your insight into your financial health, and help you make informed decisions as you're moving forward. So this is critical, when it comes to, so once again, I tend to reiterate just to make sure everyone kind of gets a hold on it. Know your revenue streams. I mentioned a few, there could be many more. So you want to identify what they are. Then you want to know what are the tax implications that go along with each one of those revenue streams. And then in terms of income, where is the money coming from? And knowing that, yes, you as a small business owner are considered self-employed. Are you making sure that you are putting money aside or submitting money to the right agencies when it comes to filing your taxes? You want to make sure, one of the things that I learned as an entrepreneur was, you couldn't wait to the end of the year to file your taxes, meaning there's times that you have to submit to on a quarterly basis to the different federal agency as well as the state agency in terms of your income tax, because if you owe more than 20% at the end of the year, you will get hit with, you'll be penalized. And I wouldn't want that to happen to you. So next item, if it goes here, yes, is tracking your business and income expenses. So making sure that tracking your finances, it's like having that clear roadmap for your business. Where did every dollar go? How did you spend it? How did it come in? So when it comes to expenses here, think about it. every time you go to the art supply store, how much are you spending? Even the trip to the art supply store, I have to tell you, it's tax deductible. All right. Are you renting a studio? How much does it cost to brand yourself as a company and those marketing costs that are associated with it? If you're being part of an exhibition, what kind of fees are you incurring with that? So you want to make sure that you jot everything down. Everything counts in terms of expense. And it's not just for tax purposes, it's also for yourself. Because by doing so, you can identify if you're spending too much money in one area and it's not conducive to your business. You have to stop and think, art supplies, are you buying them at your local art supply store? Or is there another place where you could get them a little, less expensive? So understanding, because by adjusting your expenses, it's going to give you a higher profit margin down the line. And to do this, it is not difficult at all. I mentioned QuickBooks before, right? Which is it's one of the Intuit programs, like TurboTax is another one. However, when you're doing it, if you don't want to go down that route, create a simple spreadsheet. You could do a Google spreadsheet. You could do an Excel spreadsheet. There's tools out there that you could just type in and say, I need a simple spreadsheet to allow me to track my expenses. And they're there. You can Google it. You can find it. If anything, you can even have AI, artificial intelligence, use one of those tools, to help you, like ChatGPT, Gemini now through Google. There's so many out there that can help you. And I want you to know that these tools are readily available for you. And most of the time at no cost. QuickBooks, I like QuickBooks because QuickBooks does make things simple for you, especially for the new business owner or the one that's starting up, helping you get organized. That's going to be critical. And part of that, it being critical, really has to do with the sheer fact that you're going to be looking at financial statements, and we're going to get into those in a little bit, but you're going to be looking at them, and those financial statements are going to give you a picture of what's going on financially in your business. To me, I said, I am not an accountant. And I should have put that out as a disclaimer, right? I am not an accountant. However, I work with budgets. I look at financial statements because it is critical for me to understand what is the financial picture or the financial health of the center that I manage. And that should be the same for you as a business owner. You should have an idea at any time. You should know what's going on financially in my business. Am I making enough of a profit, or am I bringing in enough sales, or am I not? Am I spending too much money? If so, where? How can I come back in order for my profitability to go up? So with QuickBooks, the thing I love about QuickBooks is that it comes in different sizes, so to speak, in different versions, right? Not everyone needs the whole ensuite of QuickBooks, because who needs it? You can pick the QuickBook version that's most suitable for your business. They have one that's relatively simple. Of course, there's a fee for all of them, but based on what you need within your QuickBooks program, that's how much you're going to pay. Beauty of it is you can actually go out, sell your art, use your phone, because our phones are really, well, miniature computers in the palm of our hands, and have the app downloaded to it. You're, selling a piece of art, money will go right into your account if you have it set up that way. It just has so many functionalities to make your life easier when it comes to really making sure you're staying on track with your finances. As a past entrepreneur, I shouldn't say past, I should say past business owner. I will always be an entrepreneur, but as a past business owner, tracking everything wasn't always the highlight of my business. I enjoy working, within my business, or on my business, I should say, not in my business so much. But then I have to tell you, tools like QuickBooks facilitated that, because when I had to invoice out, it was done immediately. Once you go through the process of setting everything up within QuickBooks, it's just going to make your life so much easier. I do have to tell you, there's a learning curve to it. That's why when I read it again, I said, I'm not sure if we'll have enough time to really go through the whole QuickBooks process, because there's so much there that I would not want to give you minimal information on it. I would like to provide you with more extensive information. That's why you could definitely visit us through our NJSBDC at Brookdale, which our website is mosbdc.com. And see when we're offering our QuickBooks class or our record keeping class, because record keeping to us is so essential. You know, making sure that you categorize everything the way it should, that you're tracking again, how much are you making in sales from what revenue stream? You also want to track, and then your expenses, and understanding how to do this. You know, at first, again, there may be a learning curve, but then it becomes second nature. You know, I love the fact that I could go into the system and say, hey, I need to know where I stand in my budget. And it gives me a printout and lets me know, you know, that I need to find out, okay, how much did we make in services that we may be charging for? And it allows me to see that. It also tells me, am I doing good in terms of the products that I'm delivering? Or maybe I should cut back on certain products, or maybe some products are not even making it at all and they need to be scrapped. So by looking, again, not by looking, but by using a tool like QuickBooks, it will definitely help you in terms of staying organized. And, you know, record keeping, I can't stress enough why it's so important. And the importance behind record keeping really is, you know, heaven forbid you are audited. You want to make sure that all your records are where they're supposed to be. Last week, we learned about your legal entity. So when you're looking at your legal entity, your records regarding your legal entity, if you're an LLC, you should have a certificate of formation, you should have your SS4. This is all part of record keeping that goes along with your financing. You want to have them all in a safe place, right? So with your record keeping comes your financial keeping. You want to check. Also, if you're starting off, don't you want to know if you are headed in the right direction or not? You know, looking at it regularly, it's going to allow you to see that. You know, you could put it in a graph if you want. You can look at it in numbers. You can look at it in percentages. It's totally up to you. Whatever is going to make it easier for you. My goal has always been pick the system that's going to work for you. So this way you can do it continuously. So you can make it a habit. And therefore, you know, it's a daily thing. You don't even think about it twice. It's a weekly thing. And going back to QuickBooks, that type of program, and it doesn't have to be QuickBooks. It could be any program out there that's going to allow you to do this. And by doing it, you're going to see, how is my business doing? You know, how many, you know, even identifying how much more do I have to sell in order to either break even or, you know, make the profit that I'm looking to make. So helping you stay organized is critical. So always tracking your business expenses and your incomes are crucial. You know, categorizing them makes it easier for you to analyze what is absolutely going on in your business. And then when it comes to budgeting, it's really going to help you to budget for the coming year, you know, or for the coming months. Creating a budget, as you're going to see, it's a piece that we are going to cover, because it's important, you know, to understand your budget and how is it that you want to spend the money? How is it that you can spend the money? You know, what I want and what I need, and identifying that when it comes to a budget. So one of the things that I definitely felt that it was quite critical for you to gain a hold of, and I'm not sure of how many of you even know what these statements are. And these are the 3 critical financial statements that no matter what business you're in, you need to understand how they work. And they also work together. And in working in conjunction with each other, they truly help you understand what's going on in my business? What do I need to do? How do I need to change it, you know, in order for it to continue in the trajectory that you want it to go into? So with the first statement, I want to explain to you cash flow statement. When it comes to cash and a business, and when I say cash flow, it's money coming in, money going out. This statement really helps you to understand how you're generating and using your cash flow over a specific period of time. It's going to help you assess your liquidity and your ability to meet short-term financial obligations. You know, this is what money do you have in hand? think of this. If you have people working under you, and even if it's yourself, you have a studio. You want to make sure you're making enough money to cover your lease on the studio or your mortgage on that studio. You want to make sure that you are obtaining on a monthly basis enough funds to meet your monthly financial obligations, whatever they may be. When it comes to your business, the debt that you have, if you took out a loan for anything, are you able to pay it back? And your cash flow statement does that for you. And not only does it do it for you, showing you exactly, how much money came in, how much money came out. And coming in, we're looking at your income revenue streams, right? What revenue is coming in, subtracting your cost of goods sold, and then figuring out and saying, okay, what are my set monthly expenses? So here we're looking at fixed costs, the ones that are not going to change regardless whether you sell a piece of art or you don't, but they're going to be there. So what are those? How much do I need to make sure I meet that expense and that I'm able to pay it? And at the end of the day, that there's a profit left. So with cash flow, this is going to dictate not just the financial picture in your business, but the sustainability of your business. Because if you don't have the ability to meet your short-term obligations, I'm going to tell you right now, your business is going to fail. Understanding your cash flow is critical to the success of your business. So not only it's letting you know what's going on cash wise, along with that, it's really helping you to look into the future and helping you project into the future. Because once you have your cash flow statement, let's say for a year, you can actually go back and look at that history and say, wow, during a certain season, I made more money than at other times. So now, for the following year, if the pattern is going to follow, then you're going to have to do something when your financials, income, drop. What are you going to do to make that adjustment, that fluctuation? Right. So by looking at your cash flow statement, having an idea, this way you can project into the future and say, wait a minute. I know during the winter months, I was able to sell more art. So based on that, I know that I'm going to have a little more income. However, as soon as the holiday season during the winter months is over, I run into a lull, not enough income coming in, right? Or cash that I need to maintain my business. Because it's not just income, it's actually cash. And here, when I say cash, we're talking about cash that's readily available, not something that you invoice someone and you're waiting for it to come in. It's the actual cash that you have in hand, as well as the expenditures, the actual cash, whatever you're writing off, you're putting in as an expense and you're paying it for that month. That is what you're looking at with your cash flow statement. The next statement that I do want to cover is your profit and loss statement. And with your profit and loss statement here, this statement really reveals your profitability. It's showing you the difference between your income, the revenue that you're bringing in, and your expenses, and how you incurred it during a specific period. This is going to help you gauge the financial performance of your artistic endeavor over time. So again, with profit and loss, if you're going for a grant, they may ask you for a performance statement. So what's a performance statement? It really is a profit and loss statement, but one that you projected on. And some people go, well, how do I project? How am I going to know? And I said, well, first of all, you want to look at your history if you are already in business. How did you do for the last year, for the last couple of years? That's going to help you project into the future. What is the profitability or the loss that's occurring in your business? All right. So along with that, when you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, I could project this, but let's say you're a startup and you've never done this before. There's places where you can go, and this takes a little bit of research, and it's finding out what are other art businesses similar to yours doing within the industry. And this way you could look at if an art business is making 500,000 and it's similar to yours. And last year they showed percentage wise that they were able to turn over a 25% profit margin, then your business should be able to do something similar. So, by looking at by taking that information and putting it into your performance statement for your profit and loss statement, that's going to help you gauge and create almost, a timeline for you, a benchmark to some extent. What is it that you're trying to achieve? And by looking at your profit and loss statement, you can see, am I achieving the numbers that I should have based on the industry, or am I not? So it's important, your profit and loss. And when you file taxes, if you are a sole proprietor or a single member LLC, Schedule C is a profit and loss statement for the federal government. If you're a regular LLC, the 1065 is another profit and loss statement. These are the numbers that the federal government gives it, but it's still a profit and loss statement. It's it's making you organize and put how much you made in the profit, how much income came in, and then taking all your expenses out and leaving you with an item on the bottom. So when you look at a profit and loss statement, sometimes you'll see brackets around a number. If you're not familiar with it, that's not a good sign. That means you're at a loss. I do want to say, even though I stated it's not a good sign, it's not a good sign if you've been in business for a while. And for a while, I'm talking about over a year, that is something for you to worry about, because that means your business is not profitable and adjustments have to be made. However, when you are at the startup phase in a business, chances are that you're going to invest more money into your business. Therefore, your profit and loss statement is probably going to show a loss, sometimes for the first 6 months or so. Why? Because the amount of money you've invested in your business is going to be way more than the amount of money you're going to receive in terms of income, revenue through your sales. So bear that in mind. It's nothing to be alarmed at, especially if it's within your first 6 months, because that's kind of expected. When it goes beyond that, then serious analysis have to be done, through your looking at your profit and loss statement to identify and say, I need to change something. Am I spending too much money on products, on materials that I don't need, art supplies, what is my marketing cost? How can I lower the cost? So, the profit and loss statement, it just gives you so much vital information regarding your business. And I urge you, become familiar with it. It will be your best friend. You may not always like what it's telling you, but it is going to be your best friend financially, because it really does set you in a place where you can say, okay, now I know what's going on. I know what adjustments I need to make in order for me to get to, whatever that number is, or that goal you're trying to reach financially. So again, now we talked about cash flow statement, we talked about profit and loss statement, and now we're going to talk about your balance sheet. So what is your balance sheet? And it's one thing that's important about a balance sheet, it should always balance. So the statement provides a snapshot of your financial position at a specific points. It tells you what you own, meaning the assets that you own within the business, what you owe, the liabilities, who do you owe and how much, and then the net worth, which is actually the difference between your assets and your liability. And there's a financial formula for your balance sheet. So assets equals liability minus assets equals liabilities plus your net worth. So when you combine the two columns, and you tend to see them in two columns, one that says assets and then one that says liability, and under that it's going to say company worth. When you combine, everything that's in your asset column and everything that's on your liability and net worth together, they should balance. Right. So what are the items that you see on your balance sheet that are an asset? Think of your intellectual property. That's actually an asset. But the way things are listed in your balance sheet, it's always going to be cash first. As I always say, cash is king. So you're always going to see, when you're looking at a balance sheet, it's actually going to list the assets based on its liquidity. So what is it that you could convert into cash the quickest? So cash is cash. You don't have to worry about converting it. Accounts receivable, you have to get that money in and hopefully they paid you, and that gets converted into cash. Then in terms of as you're going, there's short term and then there's long term. So with your assets, which a long term basically are going to be your mortgages. You know, if you have a mortgage, you have a studio, that's going to go under there. If you have pieces of equipment, you know, that again, they become a little more difficult to convert into cash, you're always going to see that under assets. In terms of your liabilities, this is what you owe, anything that you owe. Again, you're going to have short term and long term. Short term is going to be your monthly bills and your expenses that you have, that you know you have to pay them each and every month, you know. And then when you look at your long term, you know, that mortgage that you saw on your asset side, on this side, it's also a loss. So when you're looking at it, it's not a loss, it's a liability. You're gonna see it's there because you owe more, you owe money on it, right? So it becomes a debt. And then the end part of it, which is your net worth, you know, so this is important, especially when you want to know the valuation of your business. And when I say the valuation of your business, it's understanding what your business is worth. You know, for some individuals, they want to sell a piece of their business, their equity in their business to help fund their business. In order to do that, you need to know how much do you have vested in the business? What is it worth? And by looking at these different statements is that we put a valuation together so you can have a clear picture to understand what is your business worth? You know, because your business is an investment, and as all investment, there's values attached to it, right? So it's important for you to familiarize yourself with these financial statements and keeping accurate records. One thing I have to tell you, when it comes to putting information in to whatever system you decide you want to use in order to track your expenses and your income, I want you to know that that information, making sure that it is accurate, is critical, because whatever you put into the system, it's what's going to come out in these financial statements. So I state garbage in, that's what you're going to get in your financial statements. So you want to make sure that it's being done properly. And for some of you, you may say, well, Jacqueline, I don't know that I want to go into this. It's important for you to know how to do this. You don't have to do it yourself. You can hire a bookkeeper. You can hire an accountant to do it for you. Mind you, an accountant is an expensive way to do it when you can actually do it yourself. A bookkeeper is a little less expensive. You can have a bookkeeper just come in and check on you to make sure that the information you submitted went to the right places. So this way, when you are generating your different statements, the information that you have is accurate. So the more accurate you could be, the better off you're going to be, because it's going to allow you to gain the valuable insight into your financial health. It's going to help you make those informed decisions, and it's going to help navigate your artistic journey with greater confidence. Because I don't know about you, but when I know exactly what I'm doing and what I'm looking at, and I fully understand what's going on, it puts me in a better place. Again, I want you to know that there is a learning curve to this. This is not something that, you know, some people gravitate to it with no problem. Don't get me wrong. Some people are great with numbers, can see it, work out great. Others, you know what, I may like working on the narrative. You know, financials are important to me because, again, they're going to dictate what is it that can be done. You know, seeing them, understanding them, you know, get friendly with them and say, you know, the more I know about this, the better off I am going to be in my business, or at least my business is going to be in a better financial health position than it was before. You know, and you may be there already, but you just may not know it. You know, this could create opportunities for you that you never knew existed. So taking the time to understand each statement, then evaluating each statement, you know where you stand. You know, if an opportunity arises and you know where you are financially, who's going to stop you from taking advantage of that situation? So very critical in that respect. And then pricing your work, right? Helping you strike this balance. And this is not easy. You know, some people, when I work with different clients on pricing, it comes from different places. You know, some people may not understand everything that goes into putting a price together. And there's price strategies out there to help you get to where you want to go within your business. Does all price strategies, they're not the same. It depends on what you're trying to achieve. What's your goal regarding pricing? What is it that you want to achieve? Is it selling more? Is it, what is it? Outreach, people to recognize you. I think of, again, going back to those that were with us last week, I spoke about Devin Rodriguez, right? The arts, the young man who started, art was his savings grace, but then went on to, he's young. He's, like I said, 26, 27. He has, when you look at everything that he sells, he doesn't only sell his artwork, he teaches classes, and he does this, he created a whole program for it. So he doesn't even have to be there, to show you how it is, he recorded it. It's amazing, and he's creating different revenue streams by doing this, but he had to figure out, how much do I charge for this? Not only that, now he has apparel, and I believe it's Keep Smiling, if I'm not mistaken, and it's these hoodies that say Keep Smiling, because his thing is to find people, different people that, you would never think of putting in art, but he does, and it comes out amazing each and every single time. So for him, he had to take into account, okay, this is my livelihood. How am I going to generate income? And he created different opportunities for himself, right? So first and foremost, you need to understand what's the cost that's going into this, right? So I want you to consider the materials, right? The art supplies that went into it, your time spent. I have met so many artists that don't take into account their time. Do you know how valuable your time is? How much energy goes into creating your art and your experience. How experienced are you? What kind of an expert are you? Again, going back to Devon Rodriguez, the fact that he has classes, and he only charges $100 for these classes. He's really hot at the moment, right? So this is definitely generating an income source for him, right? But understanding, especially if you want to learn how to, draw, what a simple way of doing it in the convenience of your own home, right? So your expertise, you want to get paid for your expertise, right? Then what is the market value? This is where some research comes in on your part. You really have to figure out and say, based on research and based on the information you've acquired, what is the going rate for the type of art that I'm doing? And when I'm talking about art, it could be jewelry. For all I know, I have a friend who is a jewelry designer, right? And we walked into a store and I saw a bracelet and I said, wow, this is amazing. And she looked at the price and she said, are they crazy selling it at that price? I know how much time it took the individual to create that work of art, that piece of jewelry. And yet they were so underselling it that she was taken aback by it, right? So when you're looking at it, really make sure, did you do research, which is the next thing we're going to talk about? Did you do the research to see what other artists very similar to yours are charging for their artwork? What is the price strategies that they're using? Again, it all depends on what you're trying to achieve. Are you trying to achieve profitability? Are you trying to gain exposure? And that could be a little bit about what Devon did, right? In terms of, because I think he's only charging, $100. And I'm like, really? For the art classes? I feel they're worth a lot more, but when he started, that's how he started. And perhaps he felt that he was not where he is right now in terms of fame and who knew him. And he felt this was good. And it can also be, sometimes you just want to charge a price where you feel you want to attract people because you want them to experience the art. And therefore you want them to get to know you as the artist. And therefore you don't find the need to, charge them the rates that, higher rates than lower rates. And then sometimes you may create simple work of arts, that you're like, I created the big one on canvas. Now I'm creating replicas, and the replicas I can sell at a lesser price. Why not? So again, you want to investigate and say, what is my price strategy? So when you're taking into account, do the accounting part of it, which is the cost. Make sure you consider your time, your materials, the value that you're bringing to the market, and make sure you price it right. Do your research, do your homework. One of the things that talked about a little bit last week was the SWOT analysis. When I had my business and I conducted a SWOT analysis, right, which was identifying your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. By doing that, I had to do research. And when I did my research, that's where my opportunities came in, because I realized that what I was trying to do, no one else was trying to do, right? So I saw that there was an opportunity there, and because there was an opportunity there, it helped me put together my price strategy and say, how much do I want to charge for the different services that I am offering, right? And that brings me into the next category, pricing. I mentioned you could create a piece of art, right? Artwork, and then decide you just want to make copies of it. So the price for the original artwork is going to be one. And when you do copies, it's going to be less, right? So looking at the different pricing options that are out there, right? The original versus the prints. And then if you're commissioned to do a specific work of art, again, the price is going to be different. So you have to look at it and you have to say for yourself, okay, what's my price strategy? What's my price range? How much do I charge for commission work? Depending on the size of the canvas, how much time it's going to take and energy for you to produce it, because it's going to be an original and they're going to keep it. Are they going to allow you to create prints from it? Perhaps you needed to put it in a show and you just want to show a print versus an original. All up to you, but you want to have different price strategies. And this just going back to the research. What are other artists within your particular art industry doing? How are they coming up with their strategy or their price point? Because what you don't want to do is price yourself out of the market. Your work, when it comes to artists, I feel they're work of arts, right? And they're very individual. It's not something that you're always going to see replicated everywhere else unless you choose to do so. So when that happens, there's a value attached to that. So you want to make sure that, am I creating the price structure that I need in order to sustain my business and your way of life? And most importantly, know your worth. Worked with a young lady, and she, I feel, is an artist as well. She does a lot of different types of artwork. She uses a lot of different mediums. She even produces artwork on clothing. And she was producing these amazing leather jackets that she would find at consignment store. And then she would do this amazing piece of artwork with them. And when I saw her price point, I said, wait a second, why are you charging so little for this work? And she said, well, I don't think I would pay what you're telling me to pay for this. And I was like, take your head out of this equation, because it's not how much you're willing to pay, it's how much are they willing to pay. What is it worth to the individual who's buying the work of art, right? So know your value and don't, put it in your head that like, I wouldn't pay, $2,000 for that artwork. Why not? If that is the space that you are in when it comes to doing your business, then that's what you should be charging. And I had to help her understand by showing her what other individuals doing similar work as to what she was doing was charging, and it blew her mind. I said, you can never take into account and say, oh no, I'm not willing to pay that. Are you your customer? When you look at your market, are they you? Perhaps not. Chances are that they're probably not. And because they don't have the talent that you have, they're willing to pay for it. So looking at your pricing model, basically, making sure that you strike that balance, taking into account the cost, knowing that you did the research behind it, that you identify different pricing options based on what you're selling, and know your worth, know the value of what you're producing, and never, ever undervalue your art. Take the time to figure it out, and you will be surprised. People are willing to pay for your art. You have a talent. This is a business. And that's when you do have to put your business hat on and say, I know I'm an artist, but I'm also a businesswoman. And I know what my worth is. And based on my worth, I need to make sure that I am pricing my goods that I'm selling for the right amount. Stephanie, I see it's 3 o'clock. Should I stop here or?
Yeah, I think this is if we
good.
wrapped up this section, I think this is a perfect place to take a break.
Okay.
So everyone, it's 2:57. Why don't we take a break to stretch our legs, et cetera, et cetera. Let's come back at 2:04.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, we'll
Sounds
see you then.
All
Okay.
righty.
Deeper than this? It does get deeper than this. And it also depends, again, what kind of art you're creating, to make sure that you're meeting your responsibility as a business owner when it comes to taxes. So for some, you may hear taxes and you're like, eyes rolling back in your head, but it's important to understand, and why they're crucial to the business owner. So understand there's different types of taxes that can and will apply to your art business. So you have income tax, right? So we all pay income tax. It doesn't matter what industry that you're in, you're going to pay income tax, right? You're going to pay it to the state of New Jersey and federal income tax, right? And then you are going to also have sales tax along with that. And that totally depends on what is it that you're selling. Now I want to go back to income tax. With income tax, it's important that you set aside an amount, and pay it throughout the year. This goes back to what I started saying at the beginning of the presentation. You don't want to have to pay a penalty because you owed more than 20% of your income tax for that year. So when it comes to art, what kind of art are you producing? Because some art is taxable. And then there's services that you might produce that are not taxable. A rule of thumb is if it's something that's tangible, chances are you're probably going to pay taxes on it, right? And also one thing about paying, and when I say taxes, I meant sales tax on it. It's not you who pays the sales tax, please understand. It's actually the person that you're selling the item to. What you're doing is you're collecting sales tax on behalf of the state of New Jersey. They've given you the authority to collect sales tax on their behalf, which means when you collect the sales tax, that goes into a different little account because on a quarterly basis, you have to file those taxes in the state of New Jersey. If you do not file those taxes, you will get hit with a penalty and interest on top of it. So there may be a time in your business where some of the items you produce are taxable, and maybe you're producing a service that's not taxable. Well, that being the case, let's say for 1 quarter, you did not have to collect sales tax. You still have to report zero. Not reporting it the state will come back to you and hit you with a penalty and interest on that penalty. And the last thing you want to have to do is pay for something that you really didn't have to. And believe it or not, it's not complicated to file your sales tax in the state of New Jersey. It's as simple as either going online and doing it. The form is so relatively simple. Another thing that we help you with through the SBDC, help you understand how to file your sales tax in the state of New Jersey, because it's done electronically, either via phone or online. Those are the only 2 methods in which you can pay sales tax, right? And also because you're seen as self-employed, there's self-employment tax. And some people are like, what am I paying? Well, let me put it to you this way. If you were working for someone, you pay half of your sales employment tax too. It's called Social Security. right? So you have to pay it whether you're working for someone else, you pay half, or you pay the whole if you're self-employed. So knowing that that has to be paid, and you want to pay those things off on a quarterly basis as well. So making sure that how much money is coming in, then, and you can either do this. TurboTax is great for doing this for you. Once you file the first year, it will let you know on a quarterly basis, this is what you should be submitting to the federal government. This is what you should be submitting to the state, and it gives you the form and everything, because your personal social security number is your tax ID number for yourself. So if this is your income, that's where it's going to go into that account. So you definitely want to keep very detailed records, of your income and expenses. And I mentioned before, that profit and loss statement, when it comes to filing your taxes, this is where it's going to happen. So for filing taxes, you want to track all your expenses and understand, again, in terms of your art, what are the things that you can actually deduct? What does the federal government allow you to deduct? Let's say, for instance, you have an art studio in your home, and dimension-wise, you can figure out how much of the studio can I deduct off my taxes, because you're doing it from your home. Portion of your utilities can be deducted as well. There is actually an IRS form that'll give you all that information as well. So taking into account, when I mentioned earlier, going over to the supply store, driving over there and coming back, that's a run for your business. That wasn't a personal run. So right now, I believe the federal government gives you, I think it's 65 cents to the dollar for every mile that you take regarding your business. You'd be surprised how quickly that adds up. So you want to be able to track it. You want to make sure that, you're paying attention and keeping detailed records, because one of the things when it comes to, filing, you need to show them. There's an app that's, because I always say there's an app for everything, and it's Map IQ, and it actually tracks your travel, and it tells you on a monthly basis, what's going to help lower your tax liability. The government is not going to give you money back. However, it is going to lower your tax liability, which in essence, it is allowing you to keep more of your money, right? And with the sales tax, I do want to add to that, as I stated before, you, the business owner, are not the one paying for the sales tax, right? It's actually the end user. And when you're buying supplies, you shouldn't pay taxes on that either. By using your tax ID number for the state and using the form, I believe it's the ST form 4, if I'm not mistaken, you give that to a vendor, they will not charge you tax on it. The vendor ends up keeping that form, and this way the vendor could show the government that they didn't collect sales tax from you because you were not the end user. And this goes to anything that you're going to use in your business. This could be an electronic device. You needed a new Mac to create new designs. There you go. That piece of equipment, you're using it for work, and it is absolutely tax deductible. And as being self-employed, there's so many different areas that you can really go in and say, oh, I could deduct this off my taxes. Think of your cell phone. I don't know how many of you have cell phones and landlines, but new rulings passed when the cell phone became it, that the federal government said, you can deduct this off your taxes, your monthly expense for your cell phone, because that's where your business calls may be coming through. So there's quite a bit that we could dive into in a whole different session in terms of the different places where you can deduct expenses for tax purposes, right? And then setting aside your estimated tax payment throughout the year. I cannot stress this enough. I've mentioned it, I think, at least 3 times already, how important it is to do your estimated payments for your taxes. And this has to do especially with your income tax, both on the federal and on the state level. You want to make sure that you're paying whatever portion that is based on how much money you made, how much income came in for that quarter. So this way, at the end of the year, you've paid into it. You won't be delinquent by 20% or more. And this way you will not be penalized. And important, accountants are expensive. However, it's important to consult with a tax professional. You know, we have accountants that focus on taxes for our clients to review it. We don't do taxes for you. I can tell you right now, we do not go down that road. But we do have CPAs that focus on what are the tax deductions that you could put in. You know, which ones are those? What is legitimately that you could take off your taxes that was an expense to you, thereby lowering your tax liability. So you want to make sure that, you know, you can figure it out to a certain extent, but I highly recommend see if there's an SBDC direct consultant local to you that you can meet with, one of our CPAs or one of our accountants that specializes in taxes. So this way you can set yourself up properly, the things that you need to look out for. Again, like I said, if you have a studio in your home and that's the only thing that's done in that studio, definitely it's a tax deduction. So looking at it and saying, what at the simplest level, think of it, your supplies, you travel to get the supplies. In terms of electronics that you use, you know, even programs that you use, software that you may be using, all this is tax deductible for you. So, you know, my goal here is to encourage you to find out what are the items that you're using or you're purchasing that you shouldn't be paying taxes on, right? And that they are probably a piece of equipment that could be of value to your business, or they need to be. So along with that, then we have budgeting for success, right? So when it comes to budgeting, knowing where you're going is going to be critical. You need to create realistic budgets, right? Those that really reflect what's going on in terms of the income you're bringing in and the expenses that you are putting out for, right? So having that budget, and with the budget comes identifying, do I really need this or do I want this? You know, because need and want are two different things and they could impact your bottom line. So you really need to know, do I have the money? Can I budget for this? How much am I budgeting it for? Does this actually make sense? Or am I asking for something that I really truly don't need and could use that money somewhere else? You know, with your budget and then comparing your budget to your actual, you know, that's going to help you track your spending. It's really going to help you to see what areas can you actually improve by, you know, whether it's coming up with a new revenue stream or looking at the expenses and saying, wait a second, this is way too expensive. This shouldn't, maybe I need to find a new vendor, or maybe I need to go elsewhere to get those products, or I need to negotiate better, you know, because that could be it too. I always tell my students, you know, once you have the power of negotiation, the world is yours. Always remember, you can negotiate everything, including prices, you know, and then you want to make sure that you're allocating the funds to what you truly need, not your wants, but your truly needs. What are your artistic pursuits? Are you really, is it helping you get to the next stage of where you want to go? And then savings. Can't stress it enough when it comes to being a small business owner, the importance of having that savings, you know, and with the savings, you know, that's really gonna help you when certain things occur. So a budgeting form, you know, that's pretty much the cornerstone of sound financial management. Having it laid out for you, you know, as I said before, you can find a Google Excel that could do this for you, or Google, Excel, or Excel from Microsoft, you know, making sure that you're creating a personal budget that reflects your income and your spending habits. You want to be able to gain control over your finances, and putting a budget together is absolutely going to do that for you. And then regularly tracking your expenses. This is going to help reveal a pattern. It's going to help you identify and see what are the areas where there's potential for adjustments, you know, in order for you to achieve your financial goal. So remember, a well-crafted budget should always allocate your funds for essential living expenses. Take into account, how much are you going to pay yourself? That needs to be in your budget. As well, the resources for your artistic endeavors, what are what does that look like in terms of numbers, and then dedicating a savings plan for your future needs and aspiration. And to me, this is so critical for you to do, to make sure in terms of your savings that is there. I've seen too many business owners not take this into account when they began their business, and now towards the end of the life of their business, whether they're selling it or not really prepared for their next step or journey, whatever that may be. So building a safety net, right? Having a savings and the emergency fund. I truly believe no matter what kind of business you're in, you have to establish that emergency fund, to cover those unexpected expenses. I call that the rainy day fund, that something is going to happen, and chances are it will happen. It's just a matter of time, but that you're able to recover because you put funding aside just for that situation, that's going to arise, whatever that situation may be, and then along for yourself as a business owner, if you're self-employed and you're not receiving income from anyone, anywhere else except your business, you want to aim to have 3 to 6 months of living expense in your emergency fund. I'm a huge believer of 6 months, and that's just because I like to be really careful. But think 3 to 6 months, calculate it. How much do you have to pay out? 3 months, right? What does that look like? And then start putting money away to make sure, you have profits. Take a piece of those profits and put it into that safe fund, rainy day fund, just in case fund, call it what you want, but you need to have it. And then looking at it and saying also, I'm putting it to the side, but what are you putting it in? Because just putting it in a regular savings account, for me, is not the way to go. Look at high yield savings account, or even a retirement plan for yourself. We believe we're going to be doing this forever. However, life does tend to throw you curveballs. And even you as an artist, you're not immune to unexpected financial challenges. So building your emergency fund is going to create that safety net for those situations, like it could be a car expense, a medical bill expense, temporary loss of income. Heaven forbid somebody doesn't pay you on time. That's a loss of income. So you want to make sure that you're aiming to save for those 3 to 6 months, your living expense, along with any emergencies that you need to weather. These unforeseen circumstances, they're going to happen, right? Additionally, you really want to explore what are your different savings options. For me, it's not for you to take it and just plop it into a savings account. There's different savings accounts. Some are online where you could put it in. For me, the rainy day fund or a savings account, whatever you want to call it, I tend to put it into an account where I can't reach it, that it takes me a couple of days for them to transfer money into my regular account. Why? Because this gives me an opportunity to say, is this an emergency that I could really handle, or am I just dipping into my funds to make it easier for myself? So really look at it and say, what kind of savings is going to work best for me? And then look at your retirement plans. I remember when I had my business, and it was in the late 90s, early 2000s. I had it for 8 years. And I remember a friend, a colleague, telling me, Jackie, you would be surprised what kind of tax deductions you can get if you open up a retirement account. A simple IRA, she goes a long way in terms of saving you money now and helping you put money together for the future. Compound daily goes a long way, I've learned throughout the years, So you want to make sure, do what you need to do, create that rainy day fund. Believe me when I tell you, you're running a business, something is going to go wrong. It's just the nature of business, right? And then you want to make sure that you really want to be able to weather, especially when you're beginning your business. You don't know how your business is going to do, and it may take longer than you anticipate. So taking into account that you have enough of living expense to cover your own expenses, as well as those of your business as well. And here, managing your debt wisely. And why is this so critical? And it is because that is a reality. Being responsible is key. managing your debt is key. Making sure to familiarize yourself with the different types of debt, such as credit card, student debt. Understand the interest rates that are associated with them. Even if you take out a loan for your business, one of the things that we really sit with you and really help you figure out how much is that debt, how much are you paying to get that financing, right? What are their interest rates? If you have a problem with your credit, again, you can come see us at the Small Business Development Center because we'll work with you to help you improve your credit before you go out and try to attempt to get some financial resources from capital institutions or financial institutions, I should say, right? So take a look at that and say, where do I stand with this? Because to borrow money costs, it's not free. But our goal is always to get your money at the cheapest rate possible. So understanding how is that going to impact your business? Prioritizing if you are in debt, paying off those high interest rates debt first, and then attacking everything a little bit at a time. The sooner you could get out of debt, the better off you're going to be. And I know there's times that people say, debt is not always such a horrible thing. It's not to help you build up your credit. However, if you cannot pay off that debt, it becomes a problem. So once you develop that repayment plan, if that is what you have to do, because you're looking to manage your debt wisely, stick to it no matter what. So knowing that debt is a reality, and always remember management is going to be key. So take into account and know what your debt looks like. Do your homework, sit down. I have this conversation with my adult children all the time, telling them we all have debt. How we manage it is key, because that's how we're going to create our wealth moving forward. And if we want to shy away from it because we really don't want to deal with it, that's not an option. You have to see it for what it is, address it, get it taken care of, and believe me, no matter what it is, you can take care of it. You have to attack it a little bit at a time. Don't let it overwhelm you. I know that for some people, the anxiety gets the best of them when they're looking at their debt. And that's not something that's going to help you move forward, because how can you be creative when you're worried about your debt? So learn how to manage it wisely. Again, that is something that we at the SBDC can do to help you. So with that, I believe that was my last slide. So now we'll definitely go into the questions. We will provide this PowerPoint for you. As you can see, it has our contact information for our particular center here at Brookdale Community College. I've mentioned several times, if you want to see where the SBDC is within your area, visit the njsbdc.com website, and it will help you get there. So I am going to stop sharing, and I am going to start looking at questions. How's that, Stephanie?
Excellent. I had one quick
Oh,
question.
sure. Sure.
I heard you mention something I was really unfamiliar with, and I wanted to make sure I didn't have it wrong before we maybe shared it as a resource for our folks here.
Mhm.
You mentioned something called Map IQ.
Oh, it's Map IQ. It's not ours. Nope. It's just a tool. It's a
Okay.
tool. I'll clarify that in case I didn't say it precisely. It's Map IQ. Map, like you're mapping yourself, IQ. And it's a app that you can put on your phone. And it actually tracks, you can tell it where you're going, you have it. It'll track for you what the round trip is. So this way you can stay on top of your trips. Because one thing when it comes to, in terms of keeping documentation so you could deduct your expenses, you can track it on Map IQ, but you have to let them know where you went and what were you doing. So if you're visiting clients, let's say someone commissioned you and you have to drive to their house to do the artwork, well, that's business. You're not visiting them. You're doing work. So you get, round trip, because it's not like if you're going to go and stay there, it's going to be a round trip. What is that going to cost you? Other things that are tax deductible, if you go to conferences regarding your art, that's all deductible. Hotel stay, conference fee, taxes, taxis to and from the airport, whatever means you use to get there. These are all things that are tax deductible, especially for a small business.
Right.
These are ways to lower your tax liability.
Great. Oh, thank you for clarifying that because,
Sure.
we're in a day and age of these, extraneous tools, but if we know what we can use, that will help us streamline things that
Right.
make stuff.
And it does. And at this point, I'm sure there's more than one. They
Yeah.
came up with they were like the first ones. That's why I think I tend to remember
Right.
them. And
Yeah,
they had like a free version, but for the pay version, there's a little bit more. But
sure.
you decide what's going to work for you. You have to look at your finances and determine what can I afford and what can I not afford.
Right.
Okay.
And there's always that question of like, hey, is there an app for that?
Exactly.
So
So believe it or not, there probably
is.
and at this point, who knows? There's probably one that involves artificial intelligence, AI.
Right.
Chances are there is, because there's like hundreds of tools now that involve AI. And, I don't know all of them, but I would recommend, for you to just search it and see, not that all of them are going to work, see what works for you. So,
Yeah. All right.
all
So
right.
let's get
So
to the
I am
Q&A.
going to look at some questions here. That's okay.
Yeah,
Right.
go for it.
So, Angel asked earlier, do we need to tax work credited as a service instead of a physical item? Well, one thing is that, so digital illustration or design created as a freelancer for a bigger firm, it all depends on how you deliver it, Angel. And that's straight from the state of New Jersey. So if you are to give it to them in a format that's tangible, it's taxable. Send it as an email, not taxable. The state of New Jersey just has certain things, and there is the tax guide that you can actually look at. You can find it under the New Jersey Business Action Center website. Actually, Don Newman put it into the chat last time. So if they follow that tax form and just look it up, it will tell you, because if it is digital illustration and you provided it on some tangible format, once upon a time we used to put it on a CD. I couldn't even remember CD. So on a CD, and you would give it to them, that would be taxable. If you were to put it on a flash drive, chances are it's taxable. Email it to them, not taxable. Yeah. So it all depends on, thank you for sharing that. Yes, so they could find, look for the tax, sales tax tab on that, and that'll get you there. Do you have any advice when it comes to Social Security? That I have to say that's a kind of private conversation, and I would recommend for you to talk to someone, and you could talk to an SBDC, because each Social Security situation is very different. So you may be viable. It depends on if, like I said, there's different pieces to it, because there's disability with Social Security, there's regular Social Security. So that's very different. So hard to give you a concise answer, because I would need more information. And then is there a quick chart list, a cheat sheet of common expenses and their deductibility for artists available anywhere? You know what? I wouldn't only look for artist deductibles. I would look for businesses in general. Because while, you'll see where your art supplies will fall in, because it's a supply. So it doesn't matter if you're in the art field or not. I have one that was produced, and I kind of used that in my presentation, but it was very general. And if you want something for the arts, do a little search on it and see what comes up, because they're constantly changing. It's the other thing. I don't want to give you outdated information, because such as the cell phone. I remember when the federal government made the ruling regarding the cell phone, it was only if you had a landline, and then that ruling changed where it's your actual cell phone. So again, rulings change. And do I stay up to code with all of them? Not, sorry. That's a lot of information for this brain to handle. But I do recommend for you to look in, and you know what? Go to the irs.gov website. Put it in the search bar. It is actually going to come up for you. So here is where can you do research on art businesses for performance statements. Not sure, performance, is it for performing arts or what? One of the things that we can help you with here at the SBDC is ask for a research packet for you. That focuses on your art business. And that research packet is going to give you a cost analysis. It's going to give you a lot of information as it pertains specifically to your particular type of art. And it will even give you information so you could do your own SWOT analysis. I mean, our package that we order from the organization called SBDC Net is very robust. And the sbdcnet.org that we use, you can actually go to it yourself if you choose to. But on our end, it works only with SBDCs where they will go in and do the research for you and then provide you with all the files that you need electronically, to help you answer the questions that you're looking for. So and there's no cost to you. I just wanted to put that out there. You could definitely call our office as long as, absolutely, thank you, Samantha. No cost to you, is actually free. And all we have to do is you complete a request for counseling on our website. We contact you, we get some information regarding your business, what kind of research packet that you need, and we put in the order for you. It does take right now, I think about a month, according to them. They're like on a 30-day period. Sometimes it goes less. It all depends on who's asking for what, but it is kind of the beginning of the year and everybody wants a research packet so they could get their business off the ground. And then how long does it take an average business to make a profit in New Jersey? Oh, so difficult question because it depends on the industry. I would not be able to give you an answer, but I could tell you this: if you prepare yourself properly, you're going to get to that break-even point a lot quicker than not. And businesses that utilize services such as the SBDC, such as SCORE, and other business organizations, business development organizations, you're going to get further than if you were doing it on your own. So I would advise you, connect with an SBDC and see how they can help you, just looking at your particular art type of business. And from there, figure out more or less what's the average, because I can't give you an average. Usually businesses in general, by 6 months, they're breaking even if they've done all their homework, but it's not applicable to everyone. So don't hold me to that. And then Adam said, I have used an art price calculator in the past. You can Google it or the App Store. See, there's an app for that. Some need updating, so take care and notice. Thank you, Adam, for that piece of information, because it's true. Like we said before, there's an app for that. You just need to find it. And we try our best to introduce as many tools as possible for our small businesses. So this way they can get a leg up. Our goal is to make sure you have that competitive advantage so your business could succeed and be sustainable. How are physical assets valued? Again, depends on what it is. I have a jewel press that costs $100 to purchase. It has a market value if resold $75. It depends on who's reviewing your assets, because when a CPA takes a look at it and looks at equipment, he tries to figure out, is this truly an asset? Even if it has a resale value, they may not see it as an asset. So there, I would tell you, check with your CPA or an accountant to determine what the value is. So next on that is, for the new entrepreneur, as I am the only one creating the artwork, can I consider the employee? And no, you are considered self-employed. You're not included. You're the business owner, but you're not the employee. Here in the state of New Jersey, if you are you are considered self-employed. Partly that goes into that is, as an individual that's self-employed, yes, you'll be responsible for everything, your employment taxes, you're looking at your income taxes, you're looking at both federal and state. The one thing that you don't put in for is, unemployment and disability. That you don't put into it because you're not covered in the state of New Jersey. And by that, I mean that if your business fails, you cannot go in and try and claim unemployment disability, because the state does not allow you to pay into it and you won't qualify to receive it. So what is the best way to collect sales tax and taxes from credit cards purchases for artists? Let me make sure I get this right. the best way to collect sales tax and taxes from credit card purchases for artists. If you're making credit card purchase or they're paying you with credit cards, within, it should be set up in your system. That's why it's important to have a tool like QuickBooks. So it could, this is what the price was, this is what taxes. It goes into different buckets, so to speak, in your account. So this way, what you owe the state, and that's going over there. That's not, don't even include it in your numbers because it's not yours. That doesn't exist. That's to pay what you were supposed to, it's to remit, not even pay, it's to remit to the government agency, which is our state Treasury Department, what the taxes you collected on the state's behalf. And you're just, think of it, you're funneling it through. You're like, I got it, but I'm moving it that way, and I can't even include it in my books. Not the way you're going to see your financials. You're not going to do that, but you do want to keep it separately. Do credit card companies report sales tax, or we do? Now, that's your responsibility. Unless you have something set up. And when I look at these credit card companies, I'm thinking of someone who may have e-commerce and you're doing it online. Whatever point of service that you're using, they may have, let's say you create an account in Shopify, right? Or Amazon, they may do that for you for a fee, and you want them to, because if people are buying your art from across the state, you want to make sure that they're collecting the proper amount of sales tax for that state and for them to remit it on your behalf. So you want to make sure that that's actually occurring, because the bottom line is you're the one that's responsible for it, not anyone else. So did you discuss developing a business plan to incorporate most of what was talked about? Talked about that last week, right? The business plan development. I do want to let you know, again, visit the SBDC website, whether it's ours, we have business plan workshops. So do my other sister centers. Make sure, you visit the SBDC.com, that's a .com, and look at the calendar and see who's offering classes, because it is important to develop your business plan. And when it comes to your financials, there's actually a whole section that focuses on your financials that include your cash flow statement, your balance sheet, your profit and loss statement. All that should be included in your business plan. And then, can you recommend similar time management apps for an artist? Again, it could be a time management app, period. That's another huge thing you really do need to evaluate, for yourself. How long does it take you to create that art? How much time are you spending on it? And yes, we live in a world today that, thanks to technology, there's so many out there. I would recommend do a search and see, when you do the search, also look at the comments that are being made. Does it work good? Doesn't it? Look at it if you could put it on your phone versus your computer. How can it go from device to device? Make sure, I love, to some extent, not always, integrating some of my tools, making sure that they could communicate with each other, because it makes it easier on me, right? So if you can find an app for time management, I have to tell you, Outlook for me is my time management tool, because that calendar, it reminds me of everything I need to do when I need to do it. It helps me incorporate other calendars into it, because I have my personal calendar versus my work calendar, and all that gets integrated and I receive notifications. You don't have Microsoft? Look at Google. Google does the same thing with their suite. Look at the different apps that are there that'll help you function, in order to stay organized and stay on top of it. There's Trello is another one that'll help you if you're working with other people to stay organized. So there's so many, but you have to figure out again which one is going to work best for you. And look at those feedback that is being provided. So what's the feedback? What are people saying about the tool? How is it working with your particular devices as well? And then, if a company reimburses travel, is it still tax deductible? No. That's a no. That's double dipping. Frowned upon. Nope, that does not happen. Or should not happen, I should say. It's only whatever came out of your pocket. And if it's for your business alone, but if it's being deducted because someone else is paying for you, then no. Is there any help available for artists if they find themselves without work or sales since they're self-employed? In terms of finding work, I think that's something maybe the New Jersey State Council of the Arts can probably contribute to that. But what I would say, pay attention to what's happening next week with the marketing class, the branding class, because that's critical in order for you to really see how you're branding yourself, how to market your services, to come up with a strategy for that. So definitely do pay attention to that. Listen to what's going on in the class, because that's going to impact you on how you're presenting yourself and how you're attracting people, to your art or to the services that you are providing. So there's a lot of information that Samantha's putting on in there. So I highly recommend for you guys to take a look at that inside the chat, because thank you, Samantha, for doing that and putting all that information in there. And then what IRS forms do I fill out in order to get tax exempt as a photographer or geographic designer? Why would you get tax exempt? You're a business. No one is tax exempt that way. You're a business. If you're a nonprofit, then your nonprofit status, and that's not you. The company that's a nonprofit actually has a board, it has members in it. You may be the owner in a way, but you're really treated as an employee. So Oliver, not sure why you believe you should be tax exempt as a photographer. It's a business. Again, why would you be tax exempt? If it's regarding not having to pay sales tax on your equipment, all you need to do is complete, and that's at the state level, not at the federal level. That's why you said IRS, which puts me at the federal level, and you would have to apply for that tax exempt status. And that usually goes to nonprofit organizations, not for-profit ventures. So I hope that answers your question. And then, is it okay to contact SBDC even if I don't have any sales currently? Absolutely. For us, our goal is to sit with you, figure out what you're doing, get a consultant that can help you with developing your marketing strategy so you could implement it, because putting a strategy together that's not implementable is a waste of your time. Our goal is really to make sure that, you see what you're doing, what's the goal you're trying to reach, how is it that you're going to reach it, make sure that it's actually doable, and a lot has to do, how do you attract people to your business? And part of it may be, do you have a website or not? So we look at all the different components that go to helping you develop a sales strategy and to develop sales within your business. So yes, we help you if, even if you're, stage 1, we're here to help you as well. Then we have, how does one track and deduct the cost of internet phone if we use the same phone for personal business? Go to the IRS website for that, Angel, and it's going to tell you, because since the rules changed, they're specific, but you could look that up and it is going to give you that kind of that information that you're looking for very specifically, because it does allow you not to use your cell phone, and it tells you exactly how is it that you're going to be able to deduct that. Oh, Oliver, you meant sales tax exempt. Thank you. That's not on the IRS level. That's actually at the state level, and it has to do with sales tax. So with sales tax, it's the ST Form 4, right? And that's the one that says that you are not collecting, that you don't have to pay sales tax on the materials that you're purchasing or the equipment that you're purchasing, because you're using it to produce a product for your business. However, when you sell that product, you're going to collect sales tax. So that's the form that you actually have to give out. And it actually says sales exempt form. I'm almost sure that it's the exact title of it. So you want to go on and again, Google it, put, state of New Jersey sales tax exempt form, and it's going to give you, I believe it's the ST4. Okay, and now, do we need to collect taxes for gallery sales if we place a painting and consignment into a gallery and the gallery sales? Sells that painting and collects taxes? How does that work? Well, if they collected the taxes on the painting, then they're supposed to remit it. Because you're not gonna pay taxes again. They're supposed to, whoever collected the taxes at the time, because basically what you did, well, I can't say that because it's a consignment. But let's say you were selling things to an art gallery, then you would get a form from the art gallery saying that they're a reseller, that they're selling your art to someone else, and therefore they didn't have to pay taxes to you. And again, the end user or the last person receiving the art, they're the ones that end up paying for it. And then the last question here is, as an artist making charitable donations with the profit, please give your feedback. Well, there's different organizations. For you, that is a tax deduction, is a donation. You want to make sure that whomever you're giving the profits to, that they give you a form indicating that basically they're pretty much a 501c3, that they collect donations and that it is taxable to the donor. They should give you information, their tax ID number, because what happens with the tax ID number, it actually flags them that they are not just the nonprofit, it won't flag, but they're they don't have to pay taxes because of their nonprofit status. So that comes from the federal. No, and I was wrong. We have 2 more questions here. Okay, when can we find where can we find information on tax service based on industry, poetry, performances? I would, you know what? And we could do a search for that, because when I'm looking at a poetry performances, it's just performance. So we would have to find more information on that. And I'm not sure if the New Jersey State Council of the Arts has information on that, because that's, again, very specific, again, to the art industry. We can search it. I mean, for us, whatever we don't know, we figure it out and we find out for you. You can sit with a consultant and we could dive down and see, in obtaining that information. And then if you are a teacher, do you have to pay sales tax on the materials you buy to teach? Wow. Probably not, if it's seen as part of what you need to do to produce that service. It depends on, what I'm thinking. It depends. As a teacher, when you say you're a teacher, you're talking as an art teacher that you work in a school and you pick up the items. Are you a business or not? Again, Sheila, that may require some more of a conversation. I would need some more specific information to probably answer that. Okay, as a business, yeah. As a business, because you need the supplies to do your craft, if I'm correct. And based on that, it is tax deductible. Again, you want to complete that ST4 form for, you don't have to pay taxes. Let's say you go to Costco, right? Costco is one of the places that will take your ST4 form because you're buying supplies. But you have to make sure that you complete it in its entirety, and you're going to give it to Costco, and they're going to hold on to it, but they're not going to charge you taxes for it. And then, at which income level do you have to register your business? When it stops being a hobby. They do look at it at, oh God, I didn't know the exact number, not anymore. I haven't spoken about that in such a long time, but I did presentations on, turning your hobby into a business. And there is a level in which the government starts looking at it and says, this is no longer a hobby. Now you're really making money. And I don't remember what that number is. And chances are it's going to be different for different industries, but it's something for you to take a look at, because you should not continue making it a hobby. And definitely, if you're selling items at that point, really consider making it a business and tracking it. You want to make sure that it's worth your while. You're investing your time and energy in this. Is it worth it? Is it generating some sort of income, a profit, just like you thought it was? Or maybe, sometimes we think about it and think we're making so much money. And then when you put it on paper, you're taken aback by, you're like, what? It is actually costing me more than I am actually making here. So chances are I may say, you know what? It's not worth continuing, or I really need to just keep it as a hobby and make sure you're not a business. So with that, I see our time is done, right? So thank you for the opportunity to come in and share and talk about the SBDC. And I cannot stress it enough. As an artist, you are a business. Make sure to take advantage of our services because they are your tax dollars at work. So you've already paid for us. Make sure you take advantage of it. And it doesn't matter, you know, where you're located here in the state of New Jersey. And even if you move out of New Jersey, there's other SBDCs out there as well. So thank you all. Thank you, Stephanie, for having me to come in. Samantha, aces on taking care of the back end. Much appreciated. So again, so look forward to seeing you guys in the future. And I wish each and everyone great success. And remember, artists, you are special individuals. Now I just need you to put your business hat on to make it worth your while. And remember, never undervalue yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jackie. This has been great. Both weeks' sessions will be available. We will be cleaning them up and making them available on our YouTube channel next week. You want to look for a follow-up email from us at the Arts Council, which will have resources from both sessions and as well as links to the videos. So stay in touch, everyone, and register for the next one, which is in April, all around digital marketing strategies and branding for artists. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care. Until next time.